unmuting, muting. Make sure that you are on mute while the speaker is speaking. If they ask you to participate, then you can unmute yourself and we'll listen to what you have to say, or we'll ask you to ask questions perhaps towards the end. Keep your questions in the chat box as well so that we can collate them and ask our experts these questions towards the end. So, a big thank you to all of you for bringing in your energy, your commitment, and joining us for this day two of the workshop. And towards the end, like I said, we'll share a feedback form. You'll all fill it and get your certification. So, yeah, really excited for this.
Hi, Anu ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good, and I had the pleasure to be with you as a mentor. So it's so good to see you again as the resource person.
Yeah.
Anu ma'am, you just shared that we will be filling the feedback form, right? But
Yes.
yesterday it was not shared.
It will be after the 3 days. So this is
Okay,
day
okay,
two,
okay.
and tomorrow is day three. Once you do all 3 days, then you'll get a certificate for a 3-day workshop.
Great. And this is a topic which you have chosen. We are actually looking forward to it. Thank you for
Yeah,
choosing it, ma'am.
I'm also really looking forward to it. Yesterday was a blast. Everybody loved the workshop and the learnings. It was really powerful, really strong. And today also, we're just
All
really
all the ones
excited.
which are, executed by your team are wonderful, ma'am. I appreciate the efforts you put in.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This
Good
is Sunita
evening.
Rao here. A quick check. Did I miss any feedback link yesterday?
No, no, ma'am. You did
Okay,
not miss anything.
done. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The feedback link will be shared tomorrow after day three.
Okay, done.
Certificates will be issued after the 3 days
We
because
look
it's a
forward to
3-day
that.
workshop.
Sure, sure.
So, in the chat box, I want all of you to write down one word that captures how you feel about observing classrooms. I can see there are a lot of good evenings. Thank you for all your wishes in the chat box. We now move to the question for the day, that how do we feel when we observe classrooms? Capture it in one word. I can see excited, enthusiastic, ecstatic, curious, responsible, dilemma. Oh, mixed feelings, arising ideas. I think curiosity is a great feeling to have because you don't want to go with formed perceptions and biases, right? Your biases come into play. So it's good to be curious. I feel amazing when I observe because I learn something new. Yes, new. Yes, you are definitely a learner as a coach. I think when we do our coach program, one of the main lessons that I tell all my coaches is that you are a co-learner in this process. Just because you're a coach doesn't mean that you are the problem solver and you have all the answers and you are always right. No, you are co-learning. So you're learning from the people you are giving coaching to. When you go to the classroom, you can always learn something new. So these are all amazing responses to see the connection. It should be a student-led class. Ooh, student
Interest
leadership.
of the students, ma'am. Interest of the students, how they are engaged with us, like that.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Love the student leadership angle. I think that's something that at Teach for India we're really passionate about, and we want that. All teachers should uh, co-create their visions, their lessons with the student leaders, and they should be at the forefront and they should have a voice and choice. That's something that we advocate for. Exhilaration, inclusivity. These are all very, very powerful words. I think inclusion is a big one nowadays, especially with all the pronouns and everything that have come into play. It's very necessary for us to be sensitive and be aware of and not hurting anybody's feelings. Yeah. Peer-to-peer learning. All right. Thank you for all these responses, folks. With that, we can actually move ahead and get started. So, my facilitators need no introduction because they were here with you yesterday as well. Atulya is a dear friend of mine. We have worked on many projects together. We are always, you know, sort of meeting in different places, in different conferences. Sometimes it just happens that I'm attending something and she's attending something, and we just happen to interact with each other. So uh, it's always a pleasure to hear her and her expertise, and I've had the pleasure of working with her closely. So again, a huge welcome to you, Atulya. Welcome, Deepthi. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your time with us. Huge amount of gratitude to both of you for coming on board and doing this for us day, not just for one day, but actually 3 days in a row. So really grateful for that. Over to you guys to take ahead the learning for today. Today we are going to talk about classroom observations and feedback. And I hand it over to Atulya and Deepthi to get us started.
Thanks, Anu. Can you share the rights to share screen as well?
I'll have to stop sharing for that. Just realized. Yes, now it should be possible. Go ahead. Let's welcome both of them with a huge round of applause and well wishes in the chat box. I want our audiences to turn their cameras on if possible. And wow, I can see some 20, 25, 30 reactions already. Thank you so much for welcoming our facilitators. Say a quick hello to them with your videos on so that they can see you and interact with you before they begin. And especially in the Q&A round and whenever some interaction is happening, definitely keep your videos on to interact with them. Rest of the time, you can choose to switch it off. That's all right. All the very best, guys. Let's begin. I'll hand it over to you guys.
Okay, I'll get us started. Hi, everybody. I met some of you all and spoke to some of you all yesterday. My name's Atulya. Deepthi and I will be co-facilitating this session. This is the second day of the workshop. Yesterday, we spent a lot of time talking about peer learning circles. Our focus today is something equally interesting and something we have seen and experienced, hopefully, very closely. It's classroom observations and feedback. So without further delay, I know you're all very excited to learn. Without further delay, I'll just get us started. Next slide, please. Okay, so I know a lot of you started this meeting with giving your introductions, but I'd like to hear from you once more. So using the chat, can you type your name, your role, and your mood right now? For example, my name is Atulya. I'm a teacher sometimes, and my mood right now is curious and energized. So can we do that for the next? Okay, nice. I'm seeing responses. Okay, so far I've gotten like 4. Okay, nice. Keep him coming, please. Keep him coming. Okay, wow. We have a very diverse crowd here. But mostly positive responses. So that's always good. Okay. All right, we'll move ahead, but please feel free to continue to use the chat like this. It's really nice every time you all pop up on my screen. Okay, so I'll bring back your attention to the session right now, but thank you so much for that enthusiastic response in the chat. So very quickly, what is today going to be about? I'd like to make that clear in case it's already not clear from the session title. We'll largely be covering 3 big things. Deepthi, can you go press enter? First, we'll talk about why is classroom observation important? Why are we even talking about it today? Then we will cover observation etiquettes for supportive supervision. If that word confuses you, supportive supervision, don't worry, we will cover it in great detail. And finally, we'll talk about perhaps my favorite and the most important element of classroom observation, which is giving effective and constructive feedback. This is going to be a really fun session, so let's just go ahead. Okay. I know that we spent a little bit time already talking about the norms, but what I'd like us to do is again reestablish norms. So there are 4 things that I want all of us to please be mindful of. One, if possible, please keep your video on. It makes it way more fun for me as a facilitator and for Deepthi also, I'm guessing, to see your faces and to see you react to things. Second, please definitely use the chat. I love it. I love it when it pops on the screen. So that's really nice. Third, do ask questions. I loved hearing from people's. Yesterday, they were putting down questions, and please do engage. And finally, there are polls across the session. Please do respond to the polls. In case you have difficulty with the polls and you're not able to see them on the screen, don't worry, we'll put them on the chat as well, and you can respond in the chat in that case. Okay. All right. So now that all that background and foundation of the session is set, what we'll do is we'll play a very quick energizer game. It's going to be a fun one. I want you to do 2 things. I'll show you a series of photos. I want you to first take a guess at who these people are, but I also want you to observe the photos carefully. There's something going on in the photos that I'll talk about in some time. If instructions are clear, can I get a thumbs up? Okay, wow, wow, wow. My God, that's a lot of thumbs up. Thanks, guys. Okay, can we go to the first one? Be ready, be ready. Okay. Can you, and this is a hard one, can you tell us who this is? Oh, wow. Okay.
सर ये
Okay.
चाणक्य
All right. Thank you. I thought this was a hard one. Clearly, I was wrong. You are so fast.
Thank you.
Okay. This is
This is
Chanakya. Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Chanakya, madam.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. This is Chanakya with a young Chandragupta Maurya. Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Chanakya and Chandragupta. Chanakya is teaching for Chandragupta how to.
Perfect. Thank you so much, ma'am.
How to shoot the
Yes, but now we're going to the next one. Okay.
Saroj Khan, ma'am.
सरोज खान
Rose Khan.
Saroj Khan and Madhuri.
Saroj Khan with
Okay.
Madhuri Dixit.
Okay.
Saroj Khan teaching Madhuri Dixit, ma'am.
Okay.
He's
I've
teaching
got it.
dance.
Dolare. Devadas picture.
I love
Dolare
somebody
is a
meant
song, ma'am.
Dolare Dolare for me. Thank you so much for that. I love that song. But if possible, let's go to the third one actually. Yeah.
Ravi Shastri.
Ravindra.
Ravi Shastri, ma'am. Ravi
Ravi
Shastri.
Shastri.
Shastri. Fourth Ravi Shastri.
We have a group of first benchers, very enthusiastic to answer. I love it. I love it. Yes, you're all correct. But I hope that you were seeing the pictures also. If not, I'll show you again. And what I want you to do now is observe on both sides. What are you seeing these 3
Guiding.
guiding? Okay.
Coaching.
Coaching.
mentoring and facilitating
Observing them.
Mentoring.
Observing them.
Okay, that's a lot of
Teaching.
responses. You're almost correct. Okay, somebody's put down observing. All
They
right.
are observing, I think,
Okay.
from in the first photo.
Left sides is observing.
I
Okay.
feel their feedback has come
Yes.
after observation.
Perfect. We've got it. So can we go to the next slide? What you're seeing is them doing observation and giving feedback. And that's exactly what I wanted to come to. Everybody who ever does great things needs great coaches. This is something that goes beyond any domain. In every domain, great performers absolutely need great coaches. And education is no different. This is how I'd want us to think about this is if you want your teachers to do well, you need to you need to do observations and you need to give feedback so that they perform excellently. So right now, what we have done is we've established that good performance requires good mentoring, right? But I think we need a little bit more evidence to convince some of the people. So I'll take a little bit of a minute and check in with you all. Can you put down in the chat and reflect on a time when someone observed your work and gave you feedback that either made you feel seen, recognized, or supported? We'll hover on this slide for a bit so that you can put in your responses. Okay, yes. All right. So this is something we've all experienced then. Supported, yes. Okay. All right, great. So you have experienced what it is like to be a mentor who gives good feedback, who observes you, who corrects you, who makes you feel supported, right? So that's amazing. I'm very glad that you've had that. And you felt it yourself. But let's also take a look at what does evidence tell us, why this is so essential. So right now I'm gonna take you on a world tour of evidence and give you uh, evidence from three different places, three different studies. What I'd also do is I'd ask you to read out certain sentences. So please be prepared to unmute. All right. Can we have the first evidence come in, please? Okay. Pooja ma'am, can you please read this out for all of us?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. In Brazil, classroom observations helped teachers reclaim precious teaching time, less time spent on discipline, more time teaching, leading to better student engagement and scores.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. I hope that we've all registered that a study really saw that classroom observations actually help you get more teaching time. So yeah, that's one. Okay, can I get Vaishali ma'am to read out the second study, please? Vaishali Patel.
Yeah. In
In
India,
Hello.
yeah,
Yeah, we can hear you very faintly.
yeah. In India, when teachers observe each other, attention jumped by nearly 29% and motivation rose by 15%. Teachers said they felt less stressed and more authentic in their teaching.
Thank you, ma'am. While that was slightly difficult to hear, but I think we got the essence of it. Thank you so much, ma'am. Can I get Chaitanya Ibrahim sir to read out the third study, please? I saw you're on mute.
Am I audible right now?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay. And in the US, one of the largest studies confirmed that high quality classroom observation strongly predicts student learning and behavior.
Thank you so much, sir. So these are studies that clearly tell us that there is a lot of benefit towards doing classroom observations and feedback. I hope this is a good starting point for us to truly deep dive into CROs. Sorry, we use CROs as a short form for classroom observations. You'll get the hang of it. But with this, I'm going to pass it back to my co-facilitator, Deepti, to deep dive into the material of the session.
Thanks, Atulya. So Atulya has clearly set the stage for us to say that classroom observation is a catalyst for better teaching and better learning, right? And we are going to dive deep from here. And we are going to start off with a reflection. When I say reflection, remember that it is a reflection on your practice. So, as a school leader or as a teacher, or as I see teacher coaches who are not school leaders are also here today, right? When you so a question will pop up on your screen after I ask Deepika to release this, but I want you to keep something in mind. The ask here is not to give the right answer. The ask here is to think about what do you do? Okay, keep this in mind, not the right answer. All right. So, Deepika, are you ready with the first poll?
Yeah, I'll launch.
Okay, great. So the question is this: what was the main focus of your recent classroom visits? Was it monitoring, supporting, both, or you don't do classroom visits? Okay, I hope responses are coming in. Yes, and Deepika will give us a heads up when she's closing the poll.
Yeah, we have 60% people who have responded. Please take the next 10 seconds to respond if you haven't already.
And we are closing the poll in the next 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Yeah.
Okay, now I think we will be able to see what we are seeing from the poll. Okay, great. It's amazing to see that many of you are already doing two things, right? You're doing monitoring and you're doing supporting in the classrooms. I think a small percentage of us are looking primarily at monitoring. Okay, so now I think we have a sense of the group here and it sets the tone for the day. So now we know how we practice things on the ground. All right. Now, let's move on to the idea that we will be talking about today. Right? So, the classroom observations or classroom visits that we want to talk about today are classroom visits that are supportive in nature, classroom visits that are focused on growth, and classroom visits that actually help the observed, who's the teacher, and observer, who could be another peer teacher or a school leader. So this is what we will focus on for the entire duration of the discussion. So at any point when I say classroom visit, this is what I'm talking about. Now, let's move to the next reflection point and Deepika will release another poll. So the question is again very simple. What happens when you visit classrooms?
Family, teachers, and students stop there. Welcome one. Teachers will start their work with you.
Okay, Seema ma'am is has already shared. I would request you to select on the poll also, ma'am, so that we can consolidate the response from the group. Okay, I see responses coming in on the chat as well.
We'll close the poll in the next 10 seconds. I'm ending the poll now.
Okay. Here again, I think we have a mixed group, but we are leaning towards option B, where teachers and students are open to your presence, but they continue their classwork and they truly get to see what is happening in the class. Um, some of us also feel that, okay, sometimes when you step in, teachers and students stop their work and engage with you also, right? And some of us have also been in situations when we are not getting to see what is truly happening. You get to see what others think they should be showing you. All right. So, what we are again going to be talking today is the kind of classroom observation that is that is not going to create an environment where teachers feel like, oh, I am getting checked or I am being judged. We're talking about a classroom observation situation where there is support and trust, and that is helping to surface the challenges that teachers are facing in the classroom. So once you're able to see the challenges in the classroom, you will also be able to identify the support that is required for the teachers to be able to deliver effectively in the classroom. Right? So the idea that we're going to talk about today is called supportive supervision. Atulya used this word when she was explaining the agenda, right? So the idea of supportive, I hope, is coming out slowly to you, and we will explore this further as we go ahead. So what we will do is we are going to break it down into three parts. Okay, so we are going to start by talking about what do you do before classroom observation, what do you do during classroom observation, what do you do after classroom observation, so that the idea of supportive supervision becomes clearer to you. And I'm glad to see that many of us already feel like we do a combination of both. So I hope as we reflect and share more with each other, learnings from your experience are also going to come in and enrich this group. Okay, so with this idea, I'm going to start off with the first part, okay, before classroom observation. So the first thing that you will have to do before classroom observation is identify the purpose of classroom visit. So the question that you will have to ask yourself is, why am I going for this particular class visit? Right? What is it that I hope to notice? What that I hope to understand from this? Um, Earlier, when Anu was asking us to share, what do you feel when you go to classroom? I heard I noticed some of the responses that said that, I'm looking for an inclusive class. I'm looking for a student-led class, etc. Right? So you're basically identifying a purpose for that visit. Like you want to see maybe student-led classrooms in your school, and your classroom observation is focused idea to enable. Now, uh, let me also quickly walk through some I purpose of visit, right? So your uh, purpose could be any of these things, right? It could be planning knowledge and content, planning to deliver. It could be about figuring out how could be the use of teaching strategies be done in a better manner. How is the use of TLMs happening in the classrooms? How is classroom management? How is student engagement? How is classroom culture? Is inclusive, like we were saying earlier.
Deepti, I think your voice is breaking up quite a lot.
Student assessment is happening to student back well enough, right? So our sorry, I think I'm facing a network issue. Give me 1 second. Switch my network. Is this better?
Yeah, definitely better.
Okay, great. Let me know if there is any other tech issue needs to happen. So unfortunately, I am at a place where electricity has gone off.
Deepti still breaking up.
A heads up if you're facing difficulty in hearing.
Again, the same problem.
Okay. Natulya, maybe that'll help. Atulya?
Yeah, Deepti, you want me to share screen?
Yes.
I'll 1 second.
Deepti ma'am, I think so. If you switch off your video, then also it will support.
Yes, I'll do that. I'll keep the video off. All right. I hope. Um, all right. Am I audible now?
It's cracking. The voice is cracking a bit, but then it's okay.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna keep my video off, and I'm going to continue from here. Oh, great. I have electricity again. Uh, great. I will continue from here. Um, Sorry for the interruption, folks. Atulya, you can move to the next slide. The next one. Okay, we can move forward to before CRO. Okay, next one. Thank you. All right. So we have looked at different purposes that you can identify for classroom observation, right? Now let's look at the next piece. Let's say that you've identified the purpose of your visit, and the next stage is to go into a classroom. So what happens during classroom observation? Atulya, if you can go forward to the next one, please. Okay, now There is a small image on the screen of a classroom. I want you to tell me this. Let's say you were an observer in this particular classroom. What would you call out as your observations? You can put that down on the chat. Okay, I can see people are saying student-centric, student engagement, proper seating is not there. Teacher is giving the student a chance to answer the board work. Concentrated, focus, engaging class, teacher-led session. Okay, TLM being used. Okay. Positive interaction. Interesting. I can see somebody saying that they look at the charts that are there. All right. Engaged classroom. Okay, I can see a lot of things coming in on the chat. Okay. I hope you're also seeing the other responses that are coming in. Are people noticing things that you didn't notice? Okay, all right. So I think we have enough uh, observations on the chat box. I would actually want you to take a look at it again and see, do you have evidence for saying some of the things that you have said, right? Quickly, maybe reflect on what you have said, look at what other people have said. When we say there is it's student centric, or there is student engagement, or there is interaction, do we have evidence for it? Okay, just take a quick check of that. Okay,
Yeah,
I
all of them are giving attention and they're focusing on teacher. What's the conversation is going on between the student and teacher?
Okay. And how are you saying that, ma'am? What do you see to
Yes,
be able
ma'am.
to say that? What are you seeing that makes you say that?
Yeah, because teacher is giving some work or some conversation is going on between the teacher and one student, and all of them watching to the teacher, and they are observing that what the teacher is giving advice to the children to do something like that.
Okay, all right. Thank you for sharing, ma'am. Arjit, sir, you want to share quickly?
Yes, just quickly sharing that my observation is that I can't say that what is happening in the classroom, but what I can see that is students are sitting, the notebooks are open, there are two students who are standing, and the teacher is talking to one child. Probably, I don't know what is happening there. And it's a cramped classroom with some charts on one side of the wall, while the other side of the wall is empty. So these are some factual observations that I can say, but I can't say that it is engaged or if it is student centric. That comment I cannot make.
All right. I think with that, we can move forward. I see other hands up, more responses coming in. Hold on. We'll come back to people sharing again. Um, so, when we step into classroom, we will have to follow some observation etiquettes so that we do not make quick judgments. We do not end up doing the opposite of what we said we will do, right? We said we are going to do supportive supervision. We said we will move away from judgment, right? So like Arjit sir was kind to point out, he was saying that this is factual things that I'm calling out, right? And that is what that's a key part of the observation etiquette. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to quickly walk you through some 6 steps that or 6 principles actually that you can keep in mind so that you are able to observe what needs to be observed. Okay, so let's start with the first one. So the first part is that you have to be clear on the purpose. I already started with this, right? Why is it important? Because sometimes when you step into a classroom, there are so many things that are happening, right? So once you have zeroed in on the purpose, it will help you focus on that for the rest of the duration of your observation, and also to focus your energy towards the kind of feedback that teacher can benefit from. For instance, yesterday we were talking about peer learning circles. Let's say that the focus of your peer learning circles in your school has been classroom management for a while, and teachers have been committed to changing classroom management related practices. So then you can choose to focus on classroom management when you go for observation, right? So that you can give very targeted support for teacher professional development. So that is something you'll have to keep in mind. Second, be a camera. A camera just observes and records. There is no judgment. There is no jumping to conclusion, right? So ask yourself, am I being a camera right now, right? So you see, you are capturing exactly what is happening. And when I say record, I really mean record, right? I'm not saying take your phone and record it as a video. What I mean is record it on a book or have a checklist. So carrying that for every classroom observation helps you note down what are key things that you are seeing. And there also make sure that you note down the key things that you see, right? Without putting down your inference of it, so that you can actually get into a conversation, understand, and then info together. So put down, I'm going to again refer to what Arjit sir gave us an example, right? He said very, very clear things that there are, displays on the wall. Students are sitting like this, teacher is standing here, right? That's the kind of things that you would want to put down in your observations as well. Now let's go to the third point. Be a backbencher. This is one place we want to be a backbencher. And if there is a back door, let's try to enter through the back door. And when you enter quietly, observe from the back and avoid interrupting. In our second reflection, um, some of you were saying that, sometimes when you step into the classroom, people start engaging with you. They're like, oh, Vaishali ma'am is here in the class today. And then the conversation is between the observer and the students and the teacher. But you are there for a very specific purpose. You're there to observe the classroom, give feedback. So the in avoiding interruption becomes important. So it also kind of helps if you set expectations with your teachers early on, saying that, I'm going to be coming to the classroom, you please continue on with whatever you're teaching, etc. Similarly, even for making records, right? Like sometimes teachers might find it a little uncomfortable if somebody's stepping into the classroom and making notes, right? You will be wondering, what is this person writing down? So again, it helps to set expectations and say that, okay, ma'am, I'm going to be coming to the classroom, and this is a practice that we are bringing in the school, etc. So it helps when the communication is clear. Now let's go to the fourth point. See everything. Right? When I say see everything, try to sit at a place where you can see the children as well as the teacher. Right? Then you are able to observe different things that is going on in the classroom. It really matters where you're able to sit and where you're able to position yourself. Now let's go to the fifth one. Classroom teaching is a practice. So noticing patterns is critical. Look for behaviors. Look for interactions that seem to be repeating. Right? That will help you understand, okay, that what could be a potential practice that exists within that classroom or for that particular teacher, and slowly help shift it if required. And the last thing that I want to talk about is paying attention to all dimensions, right? You are there to watch people, process, environment, and also subtle cues. What is the nature of voice that is being used? What is the body language like? Is there a side interaction happening? What is the pace of conversation or pace of delivery? So pay attention to all of these things so that you are able to get a complete picture while you're sitting in the classroom. So with this idea in mind, we are going to move to the next part. So again, we'll have like a quick reflection. For those of you who go for classroom observation, what do you usually do after it? Deepika, if you could release the poll. I hope responses are coming in. Janvi ma'am, I can see that your hand is up.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I just wanted to like note. I'm taking a note of what you're sharing. So you just quickly moved on from the last slide. So just like wanted to actually, yeah.
Yeah, no issues, Janvi ma'am. I think Deepika and team will be sharing the deck with all of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll wait for 10 more seconds and close the poll. Kindly respond if you haven't. If you're not able to respond in the poll, kindly respond in the chat box. We'll close the poll in the next 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right. Thank you all for responding.
All right. Okay. Yes. So, very happy to see that most of us have a already existing practice of giving having one-on-one feedback conversation after you complete your classroom observation, right? Some of you feel like, okay, immediately you give feedback. Some of you, there are also, I think, some responses that says that, you discuss it in staff meeting or teacher circles. So, classroom observation is not complete until you have given the feedback. It's a half circle till you do this, right? Then that is what we are going to talk about right now. Atulya, if you can move forward. Yes. So we're going to talk about supportive feedback. So what we mean by supportive feedback is flipping the narrative on what people usually feel when they are going to receive feedback, right? Sometimes you feel like, oh, my faults are being pointed out. I am getting criticized, right? So, how do you turn that feeling or how do you switch that narrative is what we're trying to see with supportive feedback. So, it is actually a space that you create. Atulya, you can move forward. That is respectful, non judgmental, where you're not really pointing out mistakes, right? A second thing that you can again see in this space is that it is focused on learning. It's not about compliance. You're not doing this because you have to complete so many or you have to just get this done. It's purely focused on learning. Third thing that I would want to bring to your attention is it's actually open to dialogue. Uh, so what we mean by this is it's not just you as the observer who is talking to the teacher after the conversation. It's a space that you are having for talking to each other. So keep that in mind. The last thing is uh, basing it on evidence, right? Rather than saying, oh, student engagement was poor, particularly called out instances of what you've seen and base it on evidence. The next part is having very clear, actionable next steps come from the conversation. So that the teacher is clear on, what is going well that needs to continue or what are some steps that they can take to improve the existing practices. Now, what we will do is look at when you give feedback, right? So some of you said soon after the observation. And actually, most of you said, like you actually always do feed one-on-one conversation. So
क्या
there
आप पीछे की स्लाइड रिपीट कर सकते हैं एक बार just two
दिखाने
three
के लिए
points
या do you want me to explain, ma'am?
या दिखाने के लिए एंड लाइक लास्ट पॉइंट थोड़ा समझ में नहीं आया
Okay, sure. I can quickly explain. So, every feedback should have clear, actionable next steps coming from there, right? So, you should identify what is it that the teacher is going to do differently after this particular observation. What will it look like? We'll look at some specific examples, and I think that will give you good clarity. Okay.
Can you give one example for next action steps? Because
Yes.
कभी कभी क्या होता है कि हम 2-3 एक्शनेबल स्टेप्स देखते हैं राइट सो मे बी कभी कभी हम क्लासरूम एटमोस्फियर के ऊपर एक देते हैं या कंटेंट स्ट्रेटजी के ऊपर एक देते हैं एंड मे बी स्कूल प्रायोरिटी जो होते हैं तो वो भी देखना होता है राइट देन हम तीनों को मिला के ये कैसे एक्शनेबल स्टेप्स दे सकते हैं कुड यू गिव जस्ट वन एग्जांपल राइट
It's not necessarily about तीनों को मिला के देना, ma'am. It's about having clear actionable steps. So rather than telling the teacher ki, okay, ma'am, student engagement needs to improve in the classroom, maybe you will suggest that, ma'am, can you try using this particular strategy that can improve the student engagement in your classroom? Can we try out using something like a jigsaw strategy in the classroom so that the engagement between students increase or peer interaction increases? So giving something very specific that teachers can work with. And
Yeah, thank
we
you.
see more examples also. I think that will also give you more clarity. If it doesn't, let's come back to this again. Now, let's move forward. We will talk about when to do classroom observation, right? So, like I was saying, ideally soon after observation, but there might be situations where immediate discussion is not possible. But then we'll have to find brief moments that you can find. Like, it's sometimes there are schools where there aren't enough teachers and still classroom observation is a practice and we still want to continue to improve these teaching learning practices. So we'll have to find time, free periods mein karna, find out time for conversations in the corridor, staff meetings, etc. Right? But one thing that you'll have to keep in mind when you're using, say, a pure learning circle or a staff meeting to talk about something that you noticed in the classroom observation is we should have clarity on what do you want to have as a private conversation and what do you want to take as a public conversation, right? So what if it's for collective learning, then it might make sense to bring it to a staff room. Sometimes it's one-on-one feedback, and sometimes it's you also have to base it on the situation. Like, would the teacher feel okay if you bring it to a staff room? Right? Sometimes it's about a wonderful teaching practice that you've seen, and you want to take it to show that, okay, see, this teacher has done this practice that has changed the student engagement or changed how the the culture is in the classroom. So maybe you want to use that as a recognition and take it to the staff meeting or the pure learning circle. So keep that distinction in mind of whether you want to make it public or private. Um, so the next thing that we will again talk about is principles to keep in mind, like we did for during classroom observation. The first thing is evidence-based step, right? You are a camera, remember? So use what the camera has recorded. Use the evidence-based stems for appreciation and identifying what could be better. Yes, I already saw teachers calling out, teachers or school leaders calling out things with respect to appreciation earlier in the chat, right? That appreciation is very important when you do classroom observation. So when you appreciate, use evidence-based stem. What particularly did you see that deserved appreciation, right? So being very clear about it. Second thing is that you want to keep in mind is, Atulya, if you could go forward, is with respect to how you can have a dialogue. Ask reflective questions that help the teachers think more deeply about their own practice. The third thing is make feedback feel like a conversation, not a correction, right? You're talking to the teacher, getting the teacher to reflect, figuring out how they would also want to improve, right? So that is something you can keep in mind. And the last part that I would want you to keep in mind is suggesting small achievable next steps, like I was saying earlier. See, these are a few principles. Now we have to put it into practice. So now what we will do is we will have some examples come on the screen for evidence-based steps, for reflective questions, for small achievable next steps. And I want you right now to choose the right answer. It's not
Sorry
reflection.
for the
We are
interruption.
doing
Can you
like
show
a
the
quick.
previous slide for just a 1 minute more?
Sorry, ma'am, I couldn't hear. Sorry, I couldn't hear that. Deepika, if you can release the poll also.
Ma'am, I just never asked you for the previous slide.
Sorry, not audible. I hope you have the first poll on your screen. You will have to choose good evidence-based steps that can be used for appreciation. or for identifying what could be better. Okay. I hope responses are coming in.
Yeah, responses are coming in. We had two hands raised since a long time. One is Zulekha ma'am's. If you could respond to.
Ma'am, the poll is not visible.
Atulya, can you go to the next slide so that the teachers can see the question? Yes.
Yeah.
Though for those of you for whom poll is not visible, you can look at the same question on the screen and you can put your response on the chat. Okay, I can see.
Yeah. We'll wait for 10 more seconds. 50% of you have responded. Would request others as well to respond.
Okay, I see many choosing A. Some are choosing B, C. Okay.
I'm closing the poll now.
All right.
So,
All right. Okay. Okay. So I hear okay, many of you have chosen A, some C, and some very less option. Very less people have chosen option D. All right. Now let's look at the right answer. Atulya, if you could go forward. So if you look at the first three things, it's purely based on observation. They're saying that, okay, I noticed that the students were working in pairs during the group activity. No judgment, exactly what has been observed. I saw that the TLMs were kept on a shelf but not being used in this period. Exactly what is observed without making too much of judgment there. Third, when I entered, the learning outcome was written on the board. Again, observation. The last part, you are making some observation, you're making some judgment. You are making an inference when you're saying that, oh, you were so angry when the children didn't stop talking. Versus, okay, when the children didn't stop talking, I noticed that you responded, you said this, or you did this, right? So there is a small difference there. Okay, so I hope you see the difference in evidence-based STEM and non-evidence-based STEM right now. Now,
Deepti, once can
yeah,
we go back to the previous slide
yes,
before
yes.
this?
I'm not able to understand the difference.
Once more before.
Yes, this one.
I think I saw some people in the chat sharing that they want one more. Can you go back? Yeah, this. I think somebody wanted to take notes. Kirti, let me know if this is the slide you were asking for.
Yeah, thank you. The same one.
All
Thank
right,
you.
great. Yeah, can we go ahead?
Maybe 30 seconds more.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, for the rest of the group as well, take a look at the other points because we are going to now look at examples of reflective questions and examples of small achievable next steps.
Thank you.
Okay. I think
you
now,
can,
Deepika, we can release the next poll also. And Atulya, you can go to the screen where you have, yes. What are good reflective questions? We will definitely share the presentation with all of you. So you don't need to worry about noting everything down. You will have access to this. All right. I think Deepika, there is a small catch there. I think it's a single choice question for people, but
Okay.
yeah. No issues, but if you feel like there are multiple right answers like it was there earlier, you can feel free to put it on the chat also. Okay, I can see C and D. Okay. Interesting. I think I'll rely more on the chat responses than the poll responses then.
I'll end the poll.
Yes. Okay. I think clearly the poll is also divided, but many of you were right on the chat. All of them can be used as good reflective questions, right? So you're asking the teacher to think about what do they think well in the classroom? What was the goal of some activity? How do they think the students responded? What would they want to try differently, etc. Right? So the teacher is thinking back about the particular class that was observed and talking about that very specifically from there. Okay, now let's look at the next quiz. And this is going to be on um, suggesting small actionable items. And I think, Deepika, you don't need to launch the poll. Let's do it through the chat itself. Okay, from in this one, the ask is to identify a non-example of a small achievable next step. Okay, I can see. Okay, this time we are talking about non-examples. Okay, so there is a catch. Okay, I think C is the favorite choice now. Okay, all right. I can see that C seems to be winning, but there are some people who also think D. As long as we are following up on this in the next staff meeting, I will still see that D is a actually achievable next step. But the problem here with C, as many of you pointed out, is that it doesn't seem like a small achievable next step. It doesn't seem small, first of all, because there are many things that you are suggesting to the teacher. It could be a little overwhelming for teachers when there are many things that are coming their way. So, Atulya, can you go forward? So, therefore, because of the expanse of things that you're presenting to the teacher here, it does not seem like a small achievable next step. It's usually best if you are keeping it to one simple thing, especially when you're starting this out in the school as a practice. Getting teachers to actually accept the idea of feedback and try out something new. All right. So now we have explored and understood a little bit of what evidence-based STEM look like, what reflective questions look like, what achievable steps look like, etc. Right? Now we are going to go into supportive feedback in some more detail. So all of this information we have, but how do you do a conversation is what we will look at, and then I'll come back to this again. Okay. So the first thing that you can begin with is appreciation. Right? You can use your evidence-based time for appreciation. So we begin with appreciation and say that, oh, I noticed that the students were very attentive during the story. That was wonderful. I noticed that you introduced a student leader for managing classroom. It was great to see that. Right? So the second thing that that you can do in such a conversation, Atulya, if you could move forward, is asking reflective questions, right? So now you're creating the space for dialogue. So getting the teacher to think about what they think work well or what they found challenging. Here is also a space where you can find out from the teacher what they think could go better, right? So you're inviting them also to think about their own practice and how they would like to see it improve. And then you move to the next part. So now we are going to talk about the achievable next steps piece, right? The small achievable next steps. So we saw some examples already, and here are some other examples. Like maybe it's about sharing a resource with the teacher. Maybe it's about encouraging some action. Like maybe you're saying that, oh, some other teacher, Shalini ma'am, is trying a similar practice in their classroom. Would you like to sit and see how that goes? Right? So you're creating like a very simple relevant support mechanism for the teacher. Okay. And the last piece is to reinforce the message, right? Your role and specific actions. get conveying that you're here to support and not inspect, conveying that they can reach out for help in planning something specific. Also trying to reinforce. Sometimes the conversation could have been longer. So what specifically should be done may need to be reiterated to say that, okay, this is the next step that we agreed on. And also to may ask teacher whether the teacher has clarity on, that this is the next step that they would like to practice in the classroom. Okay. Now, again, this is not ended, okay? So we said we did classroom observation. Before classroom observation, we prepared. During classroom observation, we wear a camera and noticed things. After classroom observation, we did feedback. But even then, this is not ended till we do a follow-up. Right? The teacher has gotten some idea from the conversation they had with you. But now you need to follow up and ensure that it was implemented well in the classroom. Right? It's a check-in to show that you care. That the teacher is supported and the teacher is able to do things differently. And it makes a supportive supervision and engaging practice, and not just, one time you went and gave feedback. Now, when you do this, you can think about a couple of ways to do this, right? One is to visit the same classroom again. And classroom observation, ideally, it has to be part of your regular processes. Right? Say, I know school leaders who go for classroom observation every day. There are school leaders who do it, like on a specific day of the week that works for them, or multiple days of the week that works for them. So in that roster, make sure that you revisit that class and ask how the practice has gone, or observe that class and see whether the practice has been can be seen there. The other possibility is, to actually casually check after a week. How did this particular thing go this time? Did the changes help you this time? Did you face any challenges in implementing that in the classroom? So this is a way to approach follow-up. Okay. So broadly speaking, supportive supervision is actually a partnership. It's not policing. It's a space that you create where teachers have the necessary trust and support, so that classroom practices can be observed and feedback accepted and practice changed. So I hope we will again revisit this to understand each of these steps in a little bit more detail. I see a few hands are up. I'm being cognizant of time, so I think we can take some questions at the end. Right now, I'm just going to move forward. Okay. Okay, so we again discussed a lot of information, right? So now let's again put this to practice. Can I request any one of you to unmute and quickly read this out loud?
You visited a class 2 language classroom in your school for a quick pop in. The teacher was conducting a reading activity. Students were sitting in rows. Some were following along, but many seemed disengaged. A few were talking quietly. The teacher was reading aloud, but there was little student interaction. TLMs were visible on a shelf but were not being used. Please respond to each question. What evidence would you mention in feedback?
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am, for reading out loud. So you have a scenario, and what I want you to do is pretend you are the observer in the situation. And there are two other questions that will follow this. Let's start with the first one. I want you to identify what evidence you would mention in the feedback. When I say evidence, think camera. And let's put the responses on the chat also. Okay.
TLM.
Okay, TLMs. What about TLMs?
According to the topic, the teacher made different, like my subject is physics and bio. So if I draw the diagram according to the topic, the students can comprehend if I show in the class, and if I show all the like labelings, they will be understand the labelings also. They will understand the diagram, how to draw. They will came to know about the all the details while explaining the diagram like that.
Okay. Ma'am, I want you to focus on the particular scenario and what you are seeing or reading in the scenario, right? Before we jump to what do we want to ask the teacher to improve? What do you want to mention as evidence? Okay. Aparna, ma'am, you want to share?
Yeah, so I think I ask teachers ki like, what is our class norms and like why it is important, and then she can tell us like importance of norms, and then I can say ki like few of students like talking, and like few students are like not reading. So I can share that evidences, and then I can take their next steps ki like we can firm on our class norms, and like you matlab, uh, you should can take like first 5 minutes of the class. So maybe that my next action steps.
Okay. Aparna ma'am was walking us through the entire process that she will follow, right? Okay. I can bring
Ma'am, I also would like to add in this that first, if when coming to feedback, we can always start with giving the highlights that the voice modulation, the voice of reading was very good. Some of the students, were focusing on what you are reading. And after giving this feedback, also giving her the suggestions like in kind of that for the disengagement of the other students, you can use your voice modulation wherein you want the students to get interactive with you or you want the attention. So you, whenever you want, you can quickly use your voice modulation where the other students who are not focusing will also focus at what is going on. Where is the voice of the teacher?
Okay. All right. I hear you, but I will still encourage you to look at the evidence on the that you're seeing in the scenario. I just want to call out a few things that I'm
Can I?
noticing. One minute, ma'am. I just want to call out a few things that I'm noticing in the chat box, and I'll come to you. I can see Shweta, ma'am, here saying that I noticed some students were engaged. The session included reading aloud, which is done by the teacher alone. I see. I see Sunila ma'am saying things that I saw you were reading aloud without asking any small questions. Um, so I see many of you are also identifying very specific things to notice. Lata ma'am, I'll take one response and I'll move to the next part. Okay.
Hi. According to me, these are the observations which are put down. So from these observations, if I have to pick up one evidence, for me it is very clear that TLMs were visible on the shelf but were not being used. So I would pick up this as an evidence to mention it in my feedback. Instead of saying many seem disengaged, doesn't say what is being happening there. Teacher was reading aloud is just we are making a note of that. So for me, evidence-based would be TLMs were visible on a shelf but not being used. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. I think that's a very important point that ma'am made. That this is something that ma'am is also connecting to a potential change in the classroom practice that can come about. Right? So ma'am is saying that okay, TLMs are there, but it's not being used is what she would want to use. Here is also somewhere some is a place that you can think of the purpose of your classroom visit again, right? So if the focus of your classroom visit has been on student engagement, it might make sense to focus on student engagement, the nature of student interaction, and then call that out during your feedback conversation. But in this scenario specifically, we don't have a lot of information about the exact nature of student disengagement. Right? Like what the students were clearly doing is not very clear to us. But Lata ma'am pointed out that what is very clear to us is that TLMs are there but not being used. Okay. Now, it's different from saying that, classroom engagement is not positive, or it's different from saying that students, there is disengagement of students at the get-go. You're using something very specific that you notice that the teacher also would have clearly seen or can understand from the classroom and use that for the feedback conversation. Now let's look at the next part of this. Okay. What kind of reflective question would you ask the teacher so that the teacher can also think back about the particular classroom?
Deepti, you're on mute.
Sorry, I was just reading out the responses from the chat. Okay, share 2 glows and grows of your classroom. Interesting. Okay. Maybe Pooja ma'am, you can share your response to this. I think your hand also has been up for a while.
Hi, Dipti ma'am, right? So, Dipti ma'am, it is always wonderful to listen to you because there's so much of patience I can see on your face and the way you take forward the sessions. So, I would say the reflective question would be I can ask the teacher that if assume you are the student of your class, which she just took. So, what are the 2 takeaways from the session, or what are the 2 learning, objectives or benefits she has, or what was the most enjoyable thing of the class? So, as a student, if she gets into the shoes of those students and talks about that, I think so that would also help in reflection.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So,
Ma'am, we can use exit slips from the students. So how much percentage we will get by that, we can have an idea about the reflection of our class like that.
ma'am, here the reflection is not student reflection of the teacher's teaching, but teachers reflecting on their practice.
Okay.
Gulnaz ma'am, would you like to share?
Yes, so my reflecting questions would be like what went well, share two highlights of your class, and what could be done better. So that's how I can ask the reflective questions.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
And one more basic question could be, did you feel all children were listening and learning during reading time? It's the basic that you can ask.
Okay. All right. Okay. I have an observation to make, but I think I will do that after I hear response on the last question also. Atuli, if you could move forward. Okay, so you saw this in the classroom. What support or follow-up will you suggest in the situation? Here is where your input is coming in very specifically, right? Here you're going to talk about what changes can come in. Tyasha ma'am, if you think you're ready, you could also share.
Hi, Deepti ma'am. So I would like to put forward. So like first thing I would like to mention the teacher as the situation says that the teacher is doing reading activity, but the teacher is only reading and the students are some are listening, some are not. So if the teacher can do a popcorn reading, so in that way that will help the students to also to grab their attention, to also hear what the students, how are they pronouncing and how they are going ahead in the class. So this will be one thing. And the next thing will be, as a teacher was not using the TLMs in the class, maybe the teacher can use, when teacher is doing popcorn reading, maybe the teacher can use some popsicle stick. Maybe that popsicle stick the teacher is handing to the student, that student is coming up and reading. So in that way, TLMs can be used in the class so that the reading becomes effective. Also, they understand what they are reading, and also teachers finds the main purpose of reading, and that gets addressed.
Okay, all right. Thank you, ma'am. But as I'm seeing things on the chat, but something again that I would want to bring to your attention is asking yourself whether your support or follow-up uh, is relevant and it's whether it is small and achievable for the teacher.
Ma'am, may I speak?
Ma'am, you're not audible.
Phone देख लो वाह
तेरे करके मैं पापा जी ने जान से मना की तो कहते मैंने चलना चलो बाजार घुमा
She's talking something else.
घुमा लिया मैं कहा काम ही नहीं तेरे पर जा रही
Sorry, I don't
तो
think we
पता है
can.
हमारे को जा
So we can
Okay,
ask
I see
teacher.
563163's hand up.
Ma'am, may I speak?
Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, this is Chandralekha, and I would like to suggest here, I would like to support the teacher. In the sense, we can, before going to the class, we all are prepared for the lesson. The teacher can prepare few words which the children can, the words can be written on the board, and the teacher can tell the children, engage everybody to find out those words from the chapter. Maybe from the paragraphs can be divided among the students. They can find out the words so that everybody is engaged, and definitely they're going to learn the new vocabulary words as well. So there, one way we can support that way. Otherwise, there are many other methods in language. Actually, we can engage the children by reading the paragraph and teacher asking the questions, giving one paragraph at a time, and then they can ask the question from that particular paragraph. And children can be divided in the group, and accordingly they can give their performance. There are many other methods we can engage the children of class 2 actually for the for this reading session and all that.
Ma'am, I also want to add, Deepti ma'am, if like here in our school, we're doing peer to peer observation, like the teachers only visit other teachers' classrooms and observe the lessons. So we can also, suggest teacher to observe someone's class wherein this reading practice had been done, executed really well. So that could, support her, and she would also feel welcomed about it rather than, feeling a little low about what went wrong in the class.
Okay. I see more hands up. I'm just going to ask you to hold on. There is something that I want to bring to your attention. So we heard different people speak, right? And we heard different things from the feedback, reflection side, follow-up side, support side, etc. But when you are actually having this conversation, it all has to be tied to one common theme, right? So I think it was Lata ma'am, someone was saying that, okay, for example, if they are starting with TLM and your TLM is what you want to focus on, ideally structure your reflection in such a way that it is connected to the idea of TLM. You could keep it broad if you are open to anything new that is going to come up and any kind of practice that you're intending to change. But if you want to keep it focused, you can refine your reflection question in such a way that, more and more things are coming from the teacher also about how teaching learning materials are being used in the classroom. And keep in mind that whatever you are asking in the reflection question also has to give the space to talk about the potential changes or the action items that you want to bring in. So depending on what you want to focus on, maybe your focus is improving reading in the classroom. Maybe your focus is improving teaching learning, use of teaching learning materials in the classroom. Maybe your focus is on how read alouds can be done better in classroom. So based on that, each of the responses to all of these questions that I asked you also will have to be streamlined. Now, I'll quickly pass on to Atulya here to take this forward.
Thanks, Deepti. Deepika, can I be pinned again? I'm not sure if people can see me.
Excuse me, Atulya.
Yes, Lata ma'am.
Before they move ahead, I only wanted one question on this particular thing only. We made an observation, many seemed disengaged, a few were talking quietly. So this is a thing which is usually seen in a classroom. And since we are discussing this topic, can you all give us one or two pointers of feedback to be given to the teacher, which would improve student engagement, most of the class? Usually, if you're doing a reading activity, teacher will ask one child to read, the others are in their own world, not doing. So if it's a class of 61 reading, 59 in their own world. So in this particular scenario, what feedback you can give to a teacher where you can have maximum students engaged? So this is, as a leader, I'm finding it difficult. If you can help us out in the same scenario.
Dr. Lata, that's a fantastic question. I'll request
At any time tomorrow also, it's perfectly fine. But since we have discussed this, if you all could close it up for us.
Sure. I'll
Yeah,
request
thank
you
you
to
so
hold
much.
onto that question for some time. We'll come to it in like next 5-6 minutes. But till then, I'll just move ahead because I am just going to be checking the time also. We want to close on time, not have you wait more. Okay. So now what we'll do is I'll quickly summarize what we've done, and then I want us to co-create something. Okay. So far, what Deepti has helped us understand is that supportive supervision is definitely not a one-time task. It's a continuous process which has several steps. Observation, feedback, support, and following up is something that you have to constantly do to make this process engaging and meaningful. Now, what I want us to do is I'm hoping we can arrive at a guide, essentially a practical guide for school leaders to apply supportive supervision in their day-to-day work. What I'll do is I'm going to list down certain steps here, steps that you've already become familiar with. But these are jumbled. I want you to use the chat to arrange them in the correct order. Okay. Um, are we clear on the instructions? Can I get a thumbs up? Okay, I'm not able to see the screen, but I'm assuming if there are doubts, Deepti will let me know. Okay, cool. So these are the steps. They are not arranged right now. I'd like you to use the chat and tell me what is the correct order. Okay, hold on. I don't think responses have started coming up yet, but I'm waiting. You can just put down the alphabets of the correct sequence. I think we're still at Deepti's question, but okay, so first response, okay. D, please give me the entire sequence, okay. D-A, I'm going word by word. D-A-B, oh, somebody's got a good full sequence. Somebody's saying dab, okay. All right. Okay. I'm really hoping these are not trying to make or spell a word, Deepti. Okay, okay. I'm seeing some people come up with responses. Nice, nice. I'll hover for one. Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
Wait,
2.
wait, 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 wait.
Okay, I'll wait. I'll wait. I'm waiting. Okay. Can I go now? 1. Okay, I'm now going to show you the correct answer, but I have a feeling a lot of you got it right. So this is the correct sequence. You start with setting a clear purpose. You observe the classroom. You have one-on-one time. You begin with appreciation. You ask reflective questions. You offer a simple and relevant support, and then you follow up. Please do not forget to follow up. Follow up. We enthusiastically we believe in it. Okay. So with that, we can come to something that I want us to do. Can we please now open up the floor to take some questions? I know you have a lot. I can't promise we can answer all questions, at least in the time that's with us today. Maybe we'll stay a little back if questions are persistent, but I'm opening the floor for questions. So you can put them down on the chat, or you can put it like unmute yourselves and let us know.
There are some hands that are up, Atulya.
Oh, take it deeply. I can't. I am partially not able to see the screen at all.
Okay, I can see Triveni ma'am and Shubham sir and 563163. Maybe we can go in this order. Let's start with Triveni ma'am.
Yeah, this was in response to doctor had asked a question how to engage all the students simultaneously. So it can be cluster based, wherein each group can be given one responsibility of reading material. Probably, if it is a textbook, each group can read one page and then interchange them, and they'll have to go and explain it to other group. So the reading engagement and learning happen simultaneously. The time spent to read individually can be utilized simultaneously, equally with other children. Even the strength is more. So I just wanted to suggest this. It works out nicely.
Thanks, ma'am, for
For
that.
sharing, ma'am.
There are some questions, and I think some people have their hands up.
Sorry, Atulya, you're not audible.
Uh, Go ahead, Deepthi. I take questions, please.
Okay. Shubham, you want to go next?
My question was basically when we go to observe any class, so like sometimes it happens the teacher are very senior from us, like maybe 10 years elder or more than that. So at that time, while giving feedback, how we should go for an approach. Sometimes it happens like there is a hierarchy kind of system, so they like resist or resist to take a feedback. And depending upon, even there are two system in this, there are certain liberal spaces where teacher will directly take a feedback in a very positive manner, and there are some spaces where teacher are even hesitate to communicate with us, and even although they communicate, but they don't want feedback, like how that 28 or 25 years old guy will tell me the feedback, in spite of I'm being in a teaching field for 50 years or 60 years, some kind like this. Thank you.
Yeah, I think a very interesting question, and I see slightly similar question coming in from the chat box also. A few things that I've seen to work is what I'd like to share. Um, in some schools, I have seen pure observation work well. So it's like we have pure learning circles, right? These rosters of pure observation are also set together, saying that here is how we are going to read and learn collectively, and this is the process we will follow. And these expectations are set early on, and and it is encouraged to do that. So there is the what is rewarded is people actually going and doing this observation, um, identifying practices that can be changed, and then coming back and changing that practice. So this entire cycle that gets completed is what is acknowledged and recognized in the school. So peer coaching, and the second part is this. So using, say, spaces like staff meetings and pure learning circles to call it out, saying that this teacher has changed X practice and this is how it has helped. So identifying such uh, and recognizing such action sometimes help. Even if it is, say, for example, teacher A is not the one who is receptive, but teacher B is receptive. Sometimes recognizing teacher B also creates a space for teacher A to want to engage. That's something that I've seen to work in schools. I've also seen places where, in reflection, you're also getting teachers to think about very specific things that has happened, like how is the use of teaching learning practices, sorry, teaching strategies, or um, how students are engaging with TLM. So getting teachers to reflect on very specific things with evidence from their own classroom is also something that I've seen to kind of help to nudge the conversation forward, right? Uh, in spaces where it was okay to do that, I have seen school leaders trying very radical things, like, actually having like records, like video recordings. It's not to share it in a large group, but to sit with the teacher and go through and say that, okay, this is what is seen and how would you like to improve. So those kind of things also I've seen people to practice. um, I'm also interested in hearing if there are other things that worked out for this group, because I know that this is a group that has been practicing supportive supervision, right? uh, and it'll be great if any of you have ideas, please put that in the chat box or share out loud. I'm sure this is something that is of concern to many.
So what one can do is, as we were observing in the previous slides, you are mentioning not to directly jump into conclusion. So we can start with positives, as you have mentioned. Start with appreciation. We'll start with the appreciation, saying that it was a good good to see how smoothly the class was running. Then senior faculties or who are rich in experience will feel like, yeah, this guy or someone who is giving feedback have this like ownership, and then we can appreciate them with with positives, and then we can ask them. We have seen in other classroom like during doing this kind of lessons or engaging in different manner is helping students to learn more or engage in class more. Then this what they feel about this is they feel, oh, this, oh, basically me, if I'm giving a feedback to senior faculty, they'll feel like, oh, this guy is sharing practice, like not directly instructing me to how to work and all. Then we can frame it like, you can if you like, I can bring some simple other TLMs next time, and we can sit and figure out how the classroom learnings could be improved. And this brings a senior who's rich in experience that, oh, it's not like we are demanding or we are giving them something, like then they'll take this, is what I feel.
Thanks for sharing, sir.
Ma'am,
I
adding on to what sir was saying, if we can, because we have many suggestions which go for multiple teachers. So in case we feel that we have suggested the same, like sir is saying that in some cases, the other teachers have tried it and it is working so well. So if we can let that teacher sit in the class and observe herself, that what makes the difference, in case she can see how well the class is engaged with those inputs. So I think so that will from inside bring that feeling to why not to give it a try in my class also. In case the teacher is receptive, open, then of course I feel it can work if she sees this in action.
Exactly.
Thanks for sharing, ma'am. I've seen teachers come and share things that work for them in peer learning circles. And that get adopted by other teachers because it's coming from other people's practice and things that worked for them. So that's also a wonderful strategy to try. I see that we're already taken 5 minutes extra. So Deepika, I will quickly pass it on to you. I think if there are a lot more questions to answer, but I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Atulya and Deepti, for sharing. Cute. Yeah. Thank you. So thank you both of you for sharing such valuable insights and sparking meaningful reflections. Thank you all for being such an engaged and responsive audience as well. If you enjoyed the session, feel free to show some love with Zoom reactions as well. And we look forward to welcoming you all again tomorrow for day 3 of the workshop. Just note that the certificate will be made available tomorrow at the end of the workshop. We will share the feedback form as well tomorrow at the end of the workshop. And yeah, until then, just take care and stay curious. If you have any like questions that you want to be answered right now, we can like just open the call for 5 more minutes. But others, feel free to drop off the session and see you all tomorrow at 6 p.m. for our final day of the workshop. Thank you.